Hi guys, Jared here, and I'm going to talk about the Xbox One. And the reason why I did my thing like that is because, well, I've been using the system now on and off for the last day or so, let's just say. I've been really playing a hell of a lot of The Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds because, well, it's awesome. But I'm also working on PlayStation 4 content and now Xbox One content. You'll be happy to know I can capture direct footage from the Xbox One, so chances are very good you're going to see reviews show up for the Xbox One probably either right around the same time as PlayStation 4 or a little after, depending. I'm just waiting for some equipment to come in for the PlayStation 4, and it's supposed to be in this week, so keep you posted on that. Okay, I got a bunch of stuff I want to talk about here. So bear with me. If you want to hear my initial impressions, stick around. If not, well, thanks for watching that short snippet. So, okay, here's the thing. I have been an Xbox fan since the original Xbox. I wasn't a hardcore Xbox fan. I mean, I really enjoyed the original Halo and a bunch of other exclusives they had. Loved Knights of the Old Republic. Some of my favorite games, actually, of that generation, the 6th generation, were on the actual Xbox. I don't know why I'm showing you the 360 controller, but that just felt like holding something. Anyways, when the Xbox 360 came out, like I mentioned in my launch memories video, I wasn't like blown away or whatever, but eventually that became my de facto console for the 7th generation. I played tons of games on there. All third-party stuff was primarily on Xbox 360. They had a whole bunch of exclusives. I loved this thing right here. This controller was my favorite controller of all time. And so going into Xbox One, I mean, when they announced all the DRM stuff and like the Forced Connect and, you know, just all the bad PR that was coming out of it, I was like, well, you know, at the end of the day, I really want to see how the games hold up. And that is actually the only saving grace right now for me for the Xbox One is if it wasn't for the games and the fact that they're actually fun to play and they run very well and things like that, I would say that this is probably the biggest disaster of a launch I've ever seen. And I know Microsoft's probably not going to be happy to hear me say stuff like that, but that's just the truth. I mean, that's the way it is. I wrote a list here of some of the issues. If you are a giant Xbox fan, you should know, based on the videos we have here, that I love all platforms. I'm a gamer. I love gaming. So this, I hope, doesn't create some giant flame war or anything like that, because that's not my intentions whatsoever. I just simply want to tell you, like, as of day one, my very initial impressions right now are just all over the place. With the PlayStation 4, I complained because I didn't get games and things like that. And I still had issues getting some games, but I was just blown away by other things. So, first off, games. If you download games, as of right now, you are required to download around 45% of your game before you can actually start playing it. That is a very long time, but from what I've seen with the PlayStation 4, that might be around the same when you actually go and download. They say that you can play your games quicker if you have the disc, but I don't know. I haven't tried too much with the PS4 in that sense right now. But in terms of Xbox One, yeah, I downloaded basically what's called Dead Rising 3, and it took a very long time before I was able to play it. But that's okay. I mean, that's to be expected, right? You're downloading the game, that's cool. When you put your Xbox into its sort of standby mode, which is its off mode, it will continue to download your game. So that was great. I really like that. So this morning, when I came back and I turned it back on, was perfect. Everything was already ready for me to play, go to town, everything's great. So very cool. However, if you have a disc, and I need you guys to help me out here because I don't have many. I actually had a buddy of mine come over and put in Rise, and it had to install the same exact amount as if I had downloaded it. So that led me going, what the hell? I don't understand. We had to wait like 30, 35 minutes before we could actually check the game out. And that's ridiculous. If that's the way it is for every single game right now, disc-based games, wow, they need to fix that like now. Like as soon as the next set of games come out, that has to be done away with, because that's absolutely absurd. That if I go to the store, I have to come home, put the disc in, and still wait another 30 to 35 minutes. No, that's just unacceptable. Just to show you, on the PlayStation 4, there is an installation, but the longest one I've had is around 5 minutes. Usually they're about a minute to a minute and a half before you can start the game. You won't be able to go online and all that sort of stuff, but you can at least get into the game and start playing the game as it continues to download in the background. Well, not download, rather, sorry, but to install. And the same is true for the Xbox One games. It's just that you had to, install half the game. Now, my hypothesis for this is that it all goes back to that DRM stuff, right? Those discs originally were nothing more than over-glorified installation discs. You could just install it to your hard drive and then throw it out the window because you'd never need it again, right? And then when they switched to, well, what they have now, I don't think developers and everyone like that went back and recoded their games to be like, okay, well, you can install, the first 2 levels or the first level or whatever, and then we'll slowly, progressively download all the rest. And I'm hoping that that's the problem. If it's something else, well, then we're screwed, and we'll have to deal with this forever. But I don't think so. So I believe that will be fixed, but if you do buy an Xbox One right now, be aware that if you buy discs, at least on my system, if yours doesn't work like that, that's why I want you guys to tell me. If you have Call of Duty, if you have Assassin's Creed, if you have whatever, go ahead, put your disc in and actually time it. Don't just tell me oh yeah, well, it was 5 minutes, 10 minutes or whatever. Really, sit there and time it, and you'll know. I mean, I knew something was up when we were just sitting there and nothing's happening. It's doing the slow install thing. And I'm like, what the hell is taking so long? I want to at least say something good with Kinect that I really enjoyed, is that if you want to redeem, you now get one of those little barcode type things. I forget what they're called right now, the QR scans or something like that. You can just hold it up to the camera and boom, it'll automatically detect it and it'll unlock it. And it works, I've checked. It works if you print it out or if you have it on your phone and things like that. So that's cool. That's actually really cool. Kinect right now works, I'd say, between 75 and 80% of the times. I don't think I slur my words and stuff like that, and it does have a hard time understanding what I'm saying once in a while. It's not bad. And in fact, it can be a little too good, because it can actually pick up background noise. And it's funny, if you're watching a movie, depending on if you say that magic word Xbox, you can really, you can have your system theoretically shut down. You could have it snap to something else. You could have just a million different things happen because it's very sensitive to the different words for whatever reason. That can be a little bit cumbersome and a little bit annoying. But I personally haven't had any problems, but a friend of mine had. He was like, what the hell? It's got a mind of its own. But the fact is that there's a core problem here. If Kinect works, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's say it works 80% of the time. Well, my logic is this. Doesn't this work 100% of the time? So if this works 100% of the time and Kinect, which you can't see, it's right in front of me, works 80% of the time, shouldn't this be your default and that optional? Wouldn't that make more sense? Or if you totally disagree, if your experience has been flawless, 110%, everything's amazing and this and that and whatever, let me know. That's what the comments are for. But for me, I don't know all the different functions and features and whatever, so I'm not struggling, but I'm looking to see what I can actually say. Most of it's very, very self-explanatory. Most of it's really, really easy. But again, it doesn't always work. It works most of the time, but not 100%. So again, if this does work 100% of the time, you would assume that the user interface would be specifically designed for this and highlighted by Kinect. That's my logic in all of this. So that's not the way it is. Kinect is literally required in order to navigate the Xbox One's dashboard. So that is ridiculous. I mean, already on the Xbox 360, they were introducing more and more multimedia features, all little like tiles and tabs and things like that, like everywhere. Well, now, I'm not lying. If you want to do virtually anything with your system with the controller, it takes forever to navigate different menus and figure out where the hell everything is hidden, because it's designed for you to speak. And that's fine. If you do speak, it works fine. But I can't speak constantly. If my significant other is in the other room sleeping, I'm not going to be, Xbox, whatever. You can't do that. I'm going to wake her up. So I'd be using the controller. But to figure out where the hell I have to go within this mess is oh my God. So I don't know. And this whole snap thing, it's very cool. All right, it is. It's very cool that you can have your television plugged in and that you can use your voice to command all these different things. But it's not perfect. You can set it up so that it'll turn on your multimedia devices that you have plugged in, right? However, when you say on to it, it'll turn everything on. But if you have something else already plugged in that was already on, then that goes off. It works sort of like a universal remote where it will simply press the power button on all your different devices. So that's, it's annoying, it's cumbersome. And just hardware-wise, the system is all over the place. I connect my receiver in, and it's non-compatible with Dolby Digital. How could you not be compatible with Dolby Digital? If you're that doesn't make any sense. You have the option of HDMI lossless audio and DTS, but if the input source isn't compatible with DTS, then you get no audio if you're using an optical digital cable. That's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. So in that case, if you have an older receiver, you're actually defaulting to stereo sound instead of having DTS or having digital. Well, you can have DTS, but only if it supports it. So that, I don't know. It's I don't know. I mean, I got everything plugged in, and the first thing, as soon as I see the interface, I'm like, wow, this looks horrible, because it's not easy to navigate everything. Maybe I'm a moron. It's very possible. You might look in and be like, oh, what are you talking about? You're crazy. But if you want to capture footage, for example, you just tell it to record. And at any point, it will record a set block of footage. I think the most you can go up to is 4 minutes, something like that. It saves it to its DVR, and then you can put it on the SkyDrive and extract it like that. I actually tried this, and the quality is kind of subpar because, it's heavily compressed. It's in 720 native, whereas if I use my capture card, I can get a pure source at 720 or even at 1080, whatever I want. Thankfully, it does work with capture cards, so excellent. That's why I said you will see some game reviews. Games themselves, I'm very pleased to say, from what I've seen, they run very smooth. They look good. Everything so far has been really fine with the actual games. It's everything else that is sort of the problem. The whole point of this was Xbox One. You're one stop, right? But nothing works well with the Xbox One right now for me. Here in Canada, it's just, I don't know. You can't change out the hard drive, right? So that's one thing. Well, you can, but if you do, your warranty's void because you have to open up the machine. So if I can't change my hard drive, and I'm forced to install every single game I play, it's good to know that I can tweak the memory management, right? Actually, you cannot. There are no memory management options on the Xbox One as of now, unless I'm blind. I looked everywhere. I went into subfolders, menus and menus, and all this sort of crap, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So if you know where to look, by all means, let me know. Or if you know the Connect command to get there, let me know. Because I find this utterly ridiculous. I don't know how much storage I've used up or how much I've got left, and what if all I get are review codes? Then how am I supposed to, like, what if I fill the drive? Am I just screwed? So I don't know. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing right there, but that seems really, really odd. And another thing that seems really perplexing to me is I thought the whole point of the Xbox One was, again, that one-stop system. It's your one entertainment hub, but it doesn't recognize my external hard drive that has like a whole bunch of backups I've made of movies. It's got my music. I can't even find how to get the Xbox One to see it. I go into the video app and it's all Microsoft stuff. Go into the music app, same deal. So where is my actual stuff? And I'm lost because I thought that was the whole thing, was that this was going to be like your core media center sort of platform. And we all gave the PS4 so much flack over the fact that, you know, it doesn't have any multimedia functions. But as of right now, neither does the Xbox One. So I don't know if I'm missing something, and maybe I am. I don't know. I'll give you guys a little tour. I've been thinking of this. Once I'm done with Zelda, I get my review done for that, and I get a couple of other things done, I'll go more hardcore into the user interface, and I'll actually show you guys some of the stuff. Because like I said, I can just show you with the controller. You won't hear me talking through Kinect and stuff, but I'll do it with the controller, and you'll see what I mean. So those are my initial impressions with the Xbox One. It seems like a really half-baked console right now. I don't think this was ready for prime time at all. I think it would have been ready for prime time had it stayed as its DRM, like heavy original self. But the minute they backpedaled on that, they couldn't afford to delay the console, but they really needed to delay the console because as it is right now, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, you put a disc in, you don't expect to wait for like half an hour before you can actually play your game. That seems like absurd. Now, I know there were mandatory installs on the PlayStation 3 even, but this seems like way excessive. And then there's the whole thing, like I said, with the multimedia features. That doesn't make any sense unless I'm looking in the wrong place. And I do plan to do further updated impressions probably in a week from now. I'm actually working on a PlayStation 4 video to give you guys some, like, you know, my first week basically with the platform and how my impressions are slowly changing. Some things I like, some things I don't like, etc., etc. And so, yeah, unfortunately for Microsoft right now, at least as like in terms of COE, I really... yeah, I'm really disappointed. I didn't think, like, I really thought I could get rid of my PS3 once I had done like my necessary codes, review codes or reviews or whatever, and then that would be it unless I wanted to play some retro stuff. But right now, based on what I'm seeing right now, no, I can't. And because I can't rely on Kinect to do everything I wanted to do first time every time, then it looks like I'm going to be keeping everything the way it is. I'm not going to be plugging pretty much anything into Xbox One, and I'm going to use it as a game machine only, and yeah, that's about it. Anyways, those are my initial impressions. I know, sorry, it's sort of on a downer. If you're loving your Xbox One to death, that's perfectly cool. By all means, let me know. Let me know in the comments below. But I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say. Are you disappointed? Are you happy? Do you think I'm crazy or whatever? When I first got this too, one last little mention, I noticed the analog sticks were a little taller than on the 360. And it took me a little while to adjust, but now I'm fine. I think the controller is very comfortable. It's got a phenomenal D-pad. D-pad's actually brilliant. And everything else is really good on the controller. Really enjoying this. I just think that in terms of the console, they got some serious work ahead of them. I think the entire user interface needs to be completely reworked and set back so a controller can manipulate absolutely every function easily, on time, first time, every time. And I would push Kinect back as a secondary function, not the main thing to control everything, because like I said, you know, speaking to your system does make it easier, but it's not always practical depending on your circumstances. So that's it, guys. Those are my initial impressions. Thanks for sticking through all this. Oh my God, it's a long video. So anyways, Let me know what you think of the Xbox One, what's your initial impressions of the Xbox One are. And like I said, I will be back with another video highlighting some of my further impressions of the Xbox One, plus also with a whole bunch of reviews. I've got quite a bit of stuff already queued up and ready to go. Just need a little more time in the edit room and we'll be good to go. So thanks for watching, everyone. Be back soon with more content.